I want to introduce, we've got a little, after just a few minutes, we're going to have a panel here. Pete McGlade, our Vice President of Schedule Planning. You guys can applaud for Pete. And then Bill Owen, who is our lead planner and schedule developer. So, you guys can have a seat. It's kind of weird. If we get more time, I'll tell you a little bit more about the mustache story. It's like, you know, I see a lot of mustaches around the room, right? You're proud, right? We're proud of the mustaches. I had one for like 30 years and just decided one night to shave it. My family had been bugging me. And, you know, you would have thought, like, you know, I got divorced and moved away and abandoned my kids or something. All the attention it attracted just shaving, you know, freaking mustache. Anyway, I'm here today to talk a little bit about our optimization, a project that we are very, very, very proud of. And these guys had an awful lot to do with that. It's really a great optimization. It's really a great entrepreneurial story here at Southwest Airlines. In 1996, I can't read the panel there, schedule planning realized that something really needed to be done. We had been doing optimization and the design of our network the same from the time that we had 3 or 4 aircraft to the time that we had 400 aircraft. And, you know, it's just really, really hard to optimize our network and plan what you do with 400 aircraft. With all of the things that you have to deal with in terms of thinking about how to route them, how to think about running them through maintenance, all the options that you have. You just cannot plan the use of 400 aircraft the way you plan to use the 3 aircraft. So in 1998, a project began, and these guys looked literally all over the world, talking to experts in terms of solving the problem. In a lot of ways, it's a big, you know, it's a big math problem in terms of solving how to take the assets that we have, all these aircraft and all the things that you need to do with them, all the cities you need to flow them through, the connections that they need to make, the maintenance spaces that they need to flow through, and come out with a schedule that meets not only customer demand, has very high quality, we have very high quality expectations of our schedule, but also is very efficient, very profitable. And the experts came back and basically said, we don't know how to do that. We cannot solve your problem. So I'm going to let Bill tell this story a little bit later. But a project called the Garagemizer was born in 2000, and basically involves a couple of guys here at Southwest Airlines solving the problem that people all over the world told us they could not solve. In 2004, after several years of tweaking that, the first optimized schedule went into production, and there were great results, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. In 2008, the second version of that went into production with, again, great results. And today we're working on the next generation of this optimizer. And just to sort of give you a flavor of what that does, the optimizer today really takes all of the schedule inputs. So that, again, it's all the places you need to fly, the connections you need to make, the way you need to flow aircraft so we can do one-stops that make sense for folks. All the other places the aircraft need to flow in addition to cities, so maintenance bases, and come out with the right solution, and a solution that really makes a lot of sense for both our customers, our employees, and our profits. The optimizer of the future, that 2009 plus that you see there on the screen, is really taking that and then looking forward. So as you design your network, there are lots and lots of downline impacts as you make changes to the rest of the operation. So folks in our stations, if a schedule changes, it impacts the way they plan, the way they schedule their folks. Our crews, you make changes to schedules, it changes the way we have to schedule our crews. It can change the length of the duty day for the crews, for example. It can change the way we think about how we plan our maintenance. So the optimizer of the future is really focused on that. Just to give you a brief look at kind of what we did before, the optimization process before the optimizer in 2004 really was pretty basic. You took all of the inputs, a planner, a guy like Bill and his team, would take all of the inputs that you need to accomplish. So they look at things like the market and the demand, and our facilities, the airports, what maintenance needs, our strategy, where we want to fly, where we want to add flights. And they would take all that stuff manually, and they would take all the aircraft that we have to use, and try to smash all that together into an option that, number one, produced an efficient schedule, it produced a quality schedule, it produced quality connection times, it produced quality flights, and it basically met the demand of our customers, which is obviously the ultimate goal. But all of that flowed manually through a planner. So, these four men and women had to take all this stuff and produce a schedule. And when you have, again, 3 aircraft, 4 aircraft, that's pretty easy. When you have 400, that's much harder. And that would take months to do that. And they would come out at the end of those months with a schedule. I was going to say a schedule option, but if you only have one option, I guess it's not really a schedule option. It is the schedule. And that would be the schedule that would be published. So there was really just one schedule produced. And just a little visual, Bill's got, I think it's kind of entertaining, an example of what that manual produced schedule looked like and what these planners look like. So unroll that thing. And if you take a look at this, there are just scratches all over this piece of paper and X's and marks, and I don't know how many aircraft that represents.
That was less than 400.
So, you can just imagine how difficult that is. And then again, as things change during the day, as you have weather and other impacts, you got to go back manually and sort of mark on this and rearrange aircraft, and that is just really, really difficult. But if you look at Southwest Airlines before optimization, I think these guys did a fantastic job. We had a great flight schedule, we had great customer service, great customer experience, great connections, and so it's really a credit to just the dedication of the Southwest Airlines schedule planning folks that made this work. So, looking to the future just a bit, as we decided, we just can't in a 400, 500, 600 aircraft world, you just can't do that. So the project was born again to go look at a solution, a tool. And again, these guys talked to lots and lots of folks. I don't know how many you talked to. You must have talked to dozens of different experts and software designers around the world. And again, the answer came back, with your quality requirements, your point-to-point flying, you're different than the other airlines. This is really tough stuff. We can't solve it. It's a math problem we can't solve. So, not to be daunted by that challenge, we had some folks internally here who took that themselves, Southwest Airlines employees, and went off over Christmas and basically built the optimizer that we were told by the experts could not be done. It's a really interesting story. It's a classic story of Southwest Airlines entrepreneurship. I'm going to let Bill share that real quick.
It was an interesting time, believe me. As Bob said, the project actually got underway in 1998, and we did talk to companies all over the world. One company analyzed our schedule, and at that point it had less than 300 airplanes. And he came out and said, well, I have 2 things to tell you. Based on Southwest's point-to-point network and your density and your quality measures, there are 10 to the 23rd possible valid combinations that would make a Southwest Airlines schedule. And we went, wow. And then we said, what's the second thing you want to tell us? And he said, I can't help you. So we came back, and we got that kind of response literally from companies all over the world. And so at Christmas of 2000, we were literally about ready to pull the plug on the project, assuming nobody could do it for us. So one of our colleagues kind of had a very quizzical look on his face, but then he always does, so that's no surprise. So then January of 2001, we all come back from the holidays and we're rested and fattened up and ready to kick it off again. And this guy goes to us and shows us some schedule output and says, what do y'all think of this? And it was remarkable. It was absolutely unlike anything we've seen. Every flight had changed. The schedule was most definitely better. It was unlike, it was certainly unlike anything we would have written given the time constraints we had. And we're like, this is great. Who did it? And he said, I did. We're like, pardon me? This guy had bought an optimization engine for his own, literally his home computer at home with his own credit card. And over the holidays, he had cracked the code. He figured out how to make every flight a variable, string it all back together in a way that made sense, and do it in a much smaller amount of time than we could have done it. So now it still took a number of years before we got the schedule to a quality that we could actually publish. In fact, it took about another 3.5 years. But because he kind of metaphorically did it in his garage, we named the optimization system the Garage-omizer. So that's how Southwest Airlines was brought kicking and screaming into the world of schedule optimization.